All right, welcome back everyone to another deep dive. Today we're heading to late 19th century India with Swami Vivekananda.
Oh, a fantastic choice.
We're taking a close look at this chapter from his biography by Swami Nikhilananda, and it really focuses on his time in northern India. So think Himalayan heights, we've got clashes with missionaries, we've got encounters with royalty, and some really, really profound spiritual experiences.
Wow, it's 1897. Vivekananda's fresh off his impactful journey to the west.
Right.
And he heads north. He's drawn to the Himalayas, that serenity.
Yeah.
But he's also fulfilling all these invitations to speak on Hinduism. You know, you have to remember, this is post-Parliament of Religions, Vivekananda.
Yeah.
He's a global figure now.
Right, so he's not just seeking some peace and quiet in the mountains, he's on a mission.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's carrying this revitalized vision of Hinduism. You know,
Yeah.
He wants to make this ancient wisdom relevant to modern life.
Yeah.
But the source material makes it clear, it wasn't just about lectures.
Yeah.
He was deeply concerned with social reform.
And what's so fascinating to me is that the Himalayas themselves seem to have a huge impact on Vivekananda.
Yes, he writes about how horseback riding in the mountains just invigorated him, you know?
Okay.
He started experiencing his body as a source of pleasure. And this ties directly back into his yogic practice.
Oh, wow.
He even quotes the Upanishads about attaining a body full of the fire of yoga.
It's almost like the landscape itself is fueling his spiritual journey.
And that newfound energy fuels his tours across Punjab and Kashmir. He's advocating for student organizations. He's promoting hygiene. He's emphasizing education and care for the sick.
Right.
This wasn't just theoretical Hinduism. It was about tangible improvement to people's lives. This is where we see practical Vedanta in action.
So can you maybe explain practical Vedanta a little bit more? Because it feels very central to understanding his work at this point.
Yeah, at its core, it's about applying the core principles of Vedanta, that's the ancient Indian philosophy, to daily life.
Yeah.
Not just contemplation, but action. Service to others becomes a form of worship.
Right.
Selflessness.
Yeah.
A path to spiritual growth.
Okay, I like that. But this journey north wasn't all smooth sailing, right? There were those clashes with the Christian missionaries who weren't exactly thrilled about Vivekananda's popularity.
Oh, the source specifically mentions Dr. Barrows.
Okay.
He'd met Vivekananda at the Parliament of Religions.
Right.
But now Barrows is spreading accusations, calling Vivekananda a liar, even comparing him to a Hindu Mark Twain. Suggesting he's not to be taken seriously.
Right, that's such a loaded comparison, especially in that context.
Exactly. It reveals the cultural tensions at play. You know, here's Vivekananda advocating for Hinduism on a global stage, and he's met with this dismissive attitude.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's especially striking because Vivekananda had actually championed for Barrows
Oh, really?
to receive a warm welcome in Madras earlier.
Wow. It seems like this conflict really got under Vivekananda's skin because he even expresses this weariness with the world in a letter written around this time. He talks about the world's obsession with self, right?
He writes, I find that the world is only self, 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 and nothing else. Even my wicked deeds were not done for self. It's a moment of disillusionment, almost like he's seeing through the ego-driven nature of human behavior.
Yeah, and yet he keeps pushing forward with his work. He even takes on some really tough issues within Hinduism itself, calling out hypocrisy. There's that account of his meeting with the Maharaja of Jammu.
Right.
Right.
They're discussing this potential monastery, and Vivekananda laments how people are clinging to superstitions.
Yeah.
Especially around food and touch.
Yeah.
You know, he points out that in the past, serious offenses didn't lead to this kind of ostracization that violating food taboos does now.
He calls them the don't touchists, which is
Correct.
just so pointed.
Yeah.
What was he getting at with that term, do you think?
It was a brilliant way of highlighting how ritualistic purity was being prioritized over true compassion and spiritual growth. You know, he wanted people to move beyond those empty rituals and connect with the heart of Hinduism.
And this desire for a more authentic Hinduism led him to really push for unity, bridging these divides between different sects.
Absolutely. He saw so much potential in Hinduism if it could overcome these internal divisions. We see this in his efforts to bridge the gap between the Arya Samajists
Right.
and more orthodox Hindus. He delivers this really powerful speech in Lahore on Vedanta, stressing the need for faith in humanity as a stepping stone to faith in God. It's a universal message.
Yeah.
One that transcends sectarian boundaries.
And it wasn't just Indians who were drawn to this message. Western disciples actually play a significant role in supporting his work. The Seviers and Miss Mueller are mentioned specifically in the text.
Yes, but there's one who truly stands out.
Okay.
Margaret Noble, better known as Sister Nivedita. Vivekananda saw her as a lioness, someone who could make a real contribution to India.
It's intriguing to me that he saw so much potential in a Western woman, especially in that era.
Yeah.
But he was also incredibly realistic about the challenges she'd face, like the cultural differences.
Oh, absolutely.
The climate, potential suspicion.
He tells her she needs to love India as she is,
Right.
not some romanticized version. And his training for her was intense.
Oh, wow.
Immersion in Indian customs, close association with Sri Ramakrishna's wife, the Holy Mother, and a constant upending of her Western assumptions.
There's that really memorable story about Nivedita's reaction to animal sacrifice in the Kali temple.
Oh, yeah.
She's horrified, and she asks, "Why is there blood before the goddess?" And Vivekananda replies, "Why not a little blood to complete the picture?"
It's a stark reminder of that cultural chasm they're navigating.
Right.
But it also reveals Vivekananda's approach. You know, he's pushing Nivedita to experience India firsthand,
Yeah.
even the parts that make her uncomfortable. He takes her to sacred sites, exposes her to diverse landscapes and lifestyles. He wants her to see that deep connection between culture and custom.
It sounds like he was almost a cultural anthropologist in a way, you know? He
Yeah.
wanted her to go beyond those surface observations and really understand the fabric of Indian society.
But this clash of personalities and perspectives, it leads to some friction.
As you might expect.
As you might expect, Nivedita's strong English upbringing sometimes clashes with Vivekananda's expectations. His mentorship is clearly very demanding.
Yeah, the text mentions an incident in the Himalayas where things come to a head.
Oh, right.
Another disciple, Miss MacLeod, even has to intervene. What happens there?
Well, Nivedita is reaching a breaking point, and Vivekananda, in this moment of incredible compassion, decides to seek solitude in the forests.
Oh, wow.
And he promises to return with peace.
Wow, that speaks to his sensitivity as a teacher, I think.
Yes.
And does this lead to a deeper understanding between them?
Yes. Nivedita later writes about moving beyond that personal relation to experience this impersonal vision with Vivekananda. Their bond becomes more than just teacher-student. It takes on this profound spiritual dimension.
So, it's 1898 now. Vivekananda's work in northern India is in full swing. He's inspired disciples, he's challenged orthodoxies, he's laid the groundwork for this revitalized Hinduism. But then, life throws a curveball.
A devastating plague breaks out in Calcutta.
Oh, no.
And Vivekananda's immediate response is to organize relief efforts. It's practical Vedanta, yet again, showing that true spirituality isn't divorced from the world's suffering.
He even considers selling the land recently acquired for the Beller Math
I know.
to fund the relief work. That's commitment.
It speaks volumes about his priorities.
Yeah,
And amidst all this crisis, he faces personal loss.
right.
The deaths of Povari Baba and, most significantly, Mr. Goodwin, his right hand.
Yeah.
These losses hit him hard, but he pushes forward, embarking on this pilgrimage to the sacred Amarnath cave.
And this pilgrimage, it sounds intense, He embraces these hardships. Arduous climbs, icy baths, all while maintaining this rigorous spiritual practice. It's like he's shedding his old self.
He becomes a humble pilgrim. And in that vulnerability, he experiences this profound vision of Shiva in the ice cave.
No.
This vision shakes him, but also gives him a sense of control over his mortality.
Okay.
He's touched by something beyond the physical world.
And this experience seems to mark a shift in his spiritual focus.
Yeah.
He becomes increasingly drawn to Kali, the Divine Mother.
Right.
Especially her destructive aspect.
It's a move away from seeking solace in the divine to confronting the raw power of the universe. This fascination with the darker side of the divine is reflected in his powerful poem, Kali the Mother.
That poem is so visceral.
It is.
It vividly depicts the terror and destruction that are also part of reality. It's a stark contrast to his guru Ramakrishna's emphasis on the Divine Mother's more benign aspects.
It highlights that diversity within spiritual experience.
Yeah.
Even within a lineage, there's room for these vastly different interpretations and encounters with the divine. And this is just the beginning of Vivekananda's intense journey into the heart of Kali's mystery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It really makes you reconsider those typical ideas of what a mother figure represents in spirituality.
Yeah, and this confrontation with Kali's power leads to some really profound changes.
Yeah.
The source mentions this experience he has at the Bhavani temple.
Yes, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
He's rebuked by the goddess for wanting to protect her. It's like a cosmic lesson in surrender.
Wow.
He's being told to let go of his ego, even his patriotism,
Right.
and just embrace the all-encompassing nature of the Divine Mother.
Wow.
He says, all my patriotism is gone. Everything is gone. Now it is only mother.
Talk about a spiritual 180, from revitalizing Hinduism to this complete surrender to a force beyond comprehension.
Yeah, his disciples notice a change.
Yeah.
He becomes more detached, shaves his head, adopts this austere look. He even declares, no more Hari Om. It is all mother now. It's a dramatic shift.
It's like he's shedding his old identity, completely consumed by this new focus.
And Sister Nivedita senses their time together is nearing its end.
Right.
It's a poignant moment, filled with both completion and the bittersweet awareness of impending separation.
So we've seen Vivekananda grapple with these challenging ideas, experience profound loss, undergo intense spiritual transformation.
Right.
But he's also a builder.
Yeah.
He's laying the groundwork for a movement that will continue long after he's gone.
Absolutely. This is where the Balur math comes in.
Okay.
He envisions it as this center of universal harmony.
Yeah.
A place to disseminate and practice the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna.
And he's not just talking abstract spirituality, right?
Yeah.
He's focused on that practical side of Vedanta, the importance of service, education, upliftment.
He outlines this threefold path. Anudana, the gift of food, Vidyadana, the gift of knowledge, and Jananadana, the gift of spiritual wisdom. He believes that these three elements are essential for complete human development.
It's a holistic approach, integrating spiritual growth with practical action,
Yeah,
addressing the needs of the body, mind, and soul.
exactly.
I love that.
And he's meticulous in establishing the Balur math, ensuring it has this solid foundation.
Right.
He even performs the initial consecration himself, carrying the sacred relics of Sri Ramakrishna to the site.
Wow.
He's literally carrying his master's legacy, fulfilling a promise.
It's a powerful symbol of lineage and continuity.
It is.
But he's not content with just a monastery.
Right.
He dreams of this Finnish university.
Yes. He envisions Indian mystical wisdom and Western practical science taught side by side. A free kitchen, quarters for devotees worldwide.
Wow.
This grand vision of a spiritual and intellectual hub blending East and West.
He even tells Miss MacLeod that the Balur math will influence the world for 1,100 years.
1,100 years.
That's a bold statement.
It speaks to his unwavering belief in the power of Sri Ramakrishna's message and his vision of universal spirituality.
But this vision isn't just about buildings. It's about the people who will carry his work forward.
Yeah.
He pours his heart and soul into training his monks and disciples.
He stresses discipline, renunciation, and selfless service.
Right.
He wants them to be sappers and miners in the army of religion.
There's that fascinating blend of tradition and modernity again. He's drawing on these ancient monastic practices,
Right.
but with an almost entrepreneurial spirit.
He wants them to be well-rounded, capable of deep contemplation and effective action.
Yeah.
He tells them, you must try to combine in your life immense idealism with immense practicality. You must be prepared to go into deep meditation now, and the next moment you must be ready to go and cultivate the fields.
Wow. What resonates with me is his emphasis on working for the benefit of others, not just personal salvation.
He says it outright. You will go to hell if you seek your own salvation. Seek the salvation of others if you want to reach the highest.
That's a powerful reinterpretation of traditional spiritual goals.
Yeah.
It aligns with this idea of practical Vedanta being relevant to modern life.
And while he's working tirelessly,
Right.
his health is declining.
Yeah.
He even says, let me die fighting. 2 years of physical suffering have taken from me 20 years of life.
It's a sobering reminder of the human cost of his dedication.
But even facing death,
Yeah.
his spirit doesn't waver. He says, but the soul changes not, does it? It's there, the same madcap Atman, mad upon one idea, intent and intense.
What an incredible testament to his commitment.
Yeah, his message is ultimately one of hope and empowerment.
Right.
He reminds his disciples, one man contains within him the whole universe. One particle of matter has all the energy of the universe at its back.
It's a call to recognize our potential.
Yeah.
The power within each of us.
He's this whirlwind of energy and ideas, pushing everyone around him to reach their highest potential, even as he battles his own limitations.
Right.
He tells them, in a conflict between the heart and the brain, follow your heart.
It's a reminder that true wisdom often transcends logic and reason.
He's this fascinating blend of tradition and modernity.
Yeah.
A spiritual revolutionary drawing on ancient wisdom to address the challenges of a rapidly changing world.
And his legacy continues to inspire millions,
It does.
challenging us to look beyond self-interest and embrace a vision of human potential and spiritual unity.
His message of practical Vedanta, service, action, and universal spirituality resonates with those seeking meaning and purpose in the 21st century.
So as we delve deeper into Vivekananda's life, it's clear he's not just a religious figure, but a social reformer, philosopher, and visionary leader.
His message challenges us to step out of our comfort zones, to confront the complexities of the world, and to work tirelessly for the betterment of humanity, all while nurturing that divine spark within us.
And his words are a call to action, a reminder that we have the power to create a more just, compassionate, and spiritually awakened world.
Absolutely.
If we embrace the fullness of our human potential.
And one way he suggested we do this is by recognizing the immense power of faith.
Right.
Not blind faith,
Yeah.
but a deep, unwavering belief in ourselves and our ability to make a difference.
He actually said, believe first in yourself and then in God.
I love that quote.
It's almost like he's flipping the script on traditional religious belief.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He believed true spirituality wasn't about blind devotion,
Right.
but about tapping into your inner resources,
Yeah.
your capacity for greatness. He wanted people to see themselves as heroes of God,
Right.
capable of transforming the world through their actions.
Yeah, and he didn't shy away from using strong language to convey this.
No.
He wanted sappers and miners in the army of religion.
Yeah.
Individuals who were both spiritually grounded and practically effective.
And this practicality extended to the way he ran the Ballure math.
Right.
Order, discipline, efficiency, even in the smallest details. He believed even cooking should be done with a pure mind and concentration.
Oh, wow.
He saw the monastery as a microcosm of society.
Right.
A place where spiritual principles could be applied to daily life.
Yeah.
Creating a model for a more harmonious and enlightened way of being.
And this brings us to another fascinating aspect of his vision.
Yeah.
His perspective on the relationship between Hinduism and Islam.
Okay.
He believed that a synthesis of the two was essential for the future of India.
He actually envisioned a nation with a Vedantic brain and Islamic body. It's a powerful image of unity, drawing on the strengths of both traditions to create a more harmonious whole.
So he wasn't just about reviving Hinduism. He was looking at the bigger picture, the interconnectedness of different faiths and cultures.
And this vision of unity extended beyond India.
Right.
He saw the potential for a universal spirituality that could transcend religious boundaries.
Yeah.
He wanted to draw on the wisdom of all traditions while emphasizing the underlying oneness of all beings.
It's such a relevant message for today's world,
It is.
where religious and cultural differences are often seen as sources of division and conflict.
Absolutely. He was ahead of his time in many ways.
So as we approach the end of his time in northern India,
Yeah.
it's clear Vivekananda had planted the seeds for this powerful spiritual movement, one that would flourish long after his passing.
But he also left behind this treasure trove of teachings and insights
Right.
that continue to challenge and inspire us.
His practical Vedanta, his call for selfless service, his belief in the inherent divinity of every human being.
Yeah,
These ideas have profound relevance in our modern world.
they really do, and they offer us this roadmap for living a more meaningful and purposeful life.
So what does all this mean for us?
Yeah.
As we navigate our own lives in the 21st century, what can we take away from Vivekananda's journey?
One of the most important takeaways is the importance of integrating spirituality into action. It's not enough to just contemplate or retreat from the world's problems. True spiritual growth involves engaging with the world, working for the benefit of others, and making a tangible difference.
He's reminding us that we're capable of much more than we often believe.
Yeah.
He saw that potential for greatness in everyone.
Right.
And challenged his disciples to tap into their inner resources.
Yeah.
He wanted them to be heroes of God in their own right.
That's such an empowering message.
It is.
It challenges us to face our own challenges with courage and determination, knowing that we have the strength to overcome any obstacle.
As we conclude this deep dive into Swami Vivekananda's journey in northern India, I'm filled with awe and inspiration.
Me too.
He was truly remarkable, a spiritual giant who dared to dream big and worked tirelessly to make his vision a reality.
And his legacy continues to challenge us to think deeply, live compassionately, and strive for a more just and enlightened world.
And for me, the most thought-provoking question that lingers is this. How can we, in our own unique ways, embody the spirit of Vivekananda's practical Vedanta? How can we take his teachings and translate them into action?
It's a question worth pondering. And as Vivekananda might suggest, the answer lies not just in contemplation, but in action. And taking that first bold step towards making a difference.
It feels like he's really calling us to step into our own power. To be these agents of change in the world.
Precisely. And he wasn't afraid to challenge these traditional notions of spirituality. He believed that true religion was about more than just rituals and dogma. It was about living a life of service, compassion, and active engagement with the world.
He had this amazing quote, "Religion is not for empty stomachs." And it just highlights how intertwined he saw spiritual growth and social action.
Absolutely. For him, practical Vedanta wasn't just about personal transformation. It was about creating a more just and equitable society for everyone. He believed in the power of education, the importance of uplifting the poor and marginalized, and the need to address these systemic issues like poverty and inequality.
It's interesting how he combined this social activism with a deep reverence for ancient wisdom. He wasn't trying to reject tradition, he was trying to reinterpret it for a modern world.
And he saw immense value in India's spiritual heritage. He believed that Hinduism, with its emphasis on unity, tolerance, and the interconnectedness of all beings, had something unique to offer the world. But he also recognized that Hinduism had become bogged down in rituals and superstitions. Losing sight of its core message of love and compassion.
So he was a reformer, but also a revivalist. He wanted to strip away those layers of dogma and reveal the true essence of Hinduism, its potential to be a force for good in the world.
And this vision wasn't limited to India. He saw the potential for a global spirituality that could draw on the wisdom of all traditions, bridging divides and fostering a sense of interconnectedness among people from all walks of life.
It's such a relevant message for our times.
It is.
We're facing so many global challenges, climate change, conflict, inequality. And it feels like we need a new kind of spirituality. One that can unite us and inspire us to work together for a better future.
And that's precisely what Vivekananda offers. A vision of spirituality. It's not just about personal salvation, but about collective liberation. A world where everyone has the opportunity to realize their full potential and live a life of dignity and purpose.
It's a powerful and inspiring vision.
It is.
And as we wrap up this deep dive into his journey in northern India, I'm left with a sense of hope and possibility.
Me too. It's been a fascinating exploration of a truly remarkable individual.
Vivekananda wasn't just a spiritual leader. He was a social reformer, a philosopher, and a visionary who dared to challenge the status quo and push for a more just and compassionate world.
And his message continues to resonate today.
Absolutely.
Reminding us that we all have a role to play in creating a better future.
So as you go about your day, I encourage you to keep his words in mind. How can you embody the spirit of practical Vedanta in your own life? Where do you see opportunities to serve others, to make a difference in your community, to be a force for positive change in the world?
Remember, as Vivekananda said, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Let's all strive to live up to that challenge.
I hope you like this chapter. We need volunteers and sponsors to create content with even better quality and with more variety. If you wish to join this initiative as a volunteer or sponsor, please click the links given in description below. To help us reach more viewers, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Biography Central. Thank you for your time. It means a lot. Namaste.